That's not a comic book. Now that's a comic book.
This week we are discussing Black Panther, the deadliest of the species. We're nearing the end of Reginald Hudlin's Black Panther run. Technically, this is the end of Reginald Hudlin's Black Panther run. I've got two more books to talk about. One of them is not his. It's just the continuation from this point. I screwed up last week when I was talking about, what was it? Black Panther Secret Invasion. That was written by Jason Aaron. It's just part of the Black Panther run that Hudlin was working on mostly. So it felt kind of silly doing that. But anyway, this is Deadliest of the Species. This collects Black Panther 1 to 6, which started a new series. I don't know why things do that. So I guess Hudlin just kind of was like finishing up what he had to say with these characters and wanted to go and finish up a character arc and then hand the book off to someone else. That's what the next volume will be. And then we'll go back again to discuss a kind of standalone flashback issue. So in Black Panther Deadliest of the Species, you will notice that there is a female Black Panther on the cover. This is a really interesting story because it deals with just like, what does Wakanda do when there is a crisis? I mean, just, when you think about it, Black Panther is the head of his state. He is the king in his country. And in this issue, he comes on panel by crashing his jet in the middle of Wakanda. And there's no stopping it. It just happens. It's violent. It's scary. And it immediately sends Wakanda into a crisis because T'Challa is not only injured, not only unconscious, but has been put into a coma. He is like physically hurt in a major way and is comatose. So he is not in any capacity able to operate as the Black Panther. And it's intercut with flashbacks of what exactly happened with him. I'll talk about later, but basically he went to... I'll just mention it real quick, since it's not super important to the story itself. He went to go have a talk with Namor about the forming of... What do they call it? It's like a secret society that they're trying to form. Something connected to Norman Osborn, but it's the secret society that involves Doom, Emma Frost, all these other characters in the Marvel Universe. And T'Challa refuses to join. And then he's attacked by Doom. And, badly injured. Both of the bodyguards die in the process, and so he arrives in Wakanda, and they get him stabilized in a in like a medical vat kind of thing, but the doctors say, oh, it's really touch and go. He could die at any second, and so this is our crisis mode. And his uncle says, it's time to have the conversation no one wants to have. Here's what we do know. Our king is in a coma. His bodyguards, the Dora Milaje, are missing or dead. And whoever did this to him must know he is incapacitated, possibly dead, and might be ready to storm our gates at any moment. No one wants to discuss the worst case scenario, but we cannot avoid the obvious. As of this moment, Wakanda has no Black Panther. We must initiate the protocols. Protocols that have existed since the very foundation of Wakanda. Queen Mother, please, you know I am correct. So the question is, who will be the Black Panther? And we get this panel of Storm and... oh, crap, what's her name? I can never remember her goddamn name. Shuri. Yeah, Shuri. Shuri, Shuri. So it's Storm. It's between Storm and Shuri, and Storm, as the acting queen says, it's going to be Shuri. Shuri has had the training to be Black Panther. If T'Challa wasn't Black Panther, it would be Shuri right now. And Storm's place is by her husband's side, trying to make sure that he comes through. So those are her arguments. That is why Shuri is going to be the Black Panther in T'Challa's stead. And Shuri, that's kind of been set up since the beginning of Hudlin's run. That Shuri wanted to be Black Panther. That, you know, what she did in the first volume, fighting the radioactive man, radioactive man. No, it's the nuclear man. Radioactive man's DC, I think. But what she did fighting that guy, killing that guy, like, really left a scar on her that she was not prepared for. She's been kind of in the background and just dealing with a lot of stuff in T'Challa's run, or in Hudlin's run with T'Challa, and that apparently never really got finished. That her character arc never got to be finished, so this is the conclusion of that. So Shuri goes to face the trials, and we're cutting in back and forth with T'Challa's, what happened to T'Challa as he fought Doom. So Shuri's like getting ready to face the trials. Meanwhile, a threat to Wakanda starts to rise as some mages or whatever prepare to quote unquote uncage the lion. And then we open the next issue, next chapter, with T'Challa seeing one of his bodyguards in like this weird ethereal plane, as bodyguard says, "I'm here to take you home." Then we cut back to what's going on in Wakanda. Storm and T'Challa's mother have gone to this kind of kooky witch doctor guy that says he has a way to save T'Challa from the brink. But it requires a ceremony, a sacrifice. And Storm says she is willing to pay any price. Meanwhile, Shuri is going through the trials to become the next Black Panther. And I'll get to that. And these, monks or crazy witches or whatever, awaken what they call the Totem Eater? Morlun, Morlun, who just starts going on a fucking rampage across the African continent toward Wakanda. He immediately kills the guys that summoned him and just starts marching to Wakanda. Then we go. This is all over the place, but I really like the way that it's paced and intercut, because you're following multiple plot threads, but all of them really help feed off of each other, and it just creates a lot of tension and dramatic suspense in this. So T'Challa is there with his bodyguard in this ethereal plane, but it's not really his bodyguard. It's just like, I'm here to take you to your reward because you're dead now. Meanwhile, Storm's trying to enter that plane as Shuri is preparing for the final trial of the Black Panther. And T'Challa realizes that he is talking to Lady Death. A very different design for Lady Death, but since we got like kind of an African version going here, I think it's okay to break the traditional Marvel design. God, I love this cover. Everything with the Panther God is so fucking fascinating in Black Panther. It's just so... It's like Star Wars in the goddamn cave on Dagobah, right? It's just so, like, trippy and ethereal, and that's neat. So anyways, this threat continues making its way to Wakanda, and it's just bulldozing all over everything that it touches. Meanwhile, T'Challa is arguing with Death about whether or not he should die, and Death is trying everything it can to convince him that it's to accept his fate. So, like, it brings his father to talk to him about it. Cyan is Cyan? S''Y''A''N, Cyan? I think Cyan sounds good. Cyan, T'Challa's uncle, is very upset that the Queen Mother is, risking Aurora Storm to this crazed witch doctor guy. And for good reason, as we will find out later on. And we'll cut back to Shuri, eating this leaf that immediately will put her in direct contact with the Panther God. And I love this interaction, so I'm just going to read the whole thing. So she falls under, and just this is the first time we see him in this issue. And just, Zuri is frightening. That's how they, that's what they call him, I believe, Zuri. Shuri and Zuri. Zuri. Zuri, right? Oh my. Hello. Oh God. And she vows, I've prepared my whole life for this moment, to be ready to face you, to request your blessing. And that's what I'm doing. I am ready to step out of my brother's shadow, ready to walk my path, ready to embrace my destiny, to be what I was born to be. I'm ready. Give me what I need to save my people. I love he just leans in and sniffs her. So intimidating. And as he passes his judgment on her. For 10,000 years, the greatest champions of my people have come before me. Their names are shouted in the Hall of Kings. Their deeds are written on the scroll of destiny. And here you are, daughter of a great king and queen, sister to the greatest warrior of your nation. And instead of humbling yourself before your God, you declare your worthiness. What would those champions say to such a demand? How would they respond to such arrogance? The mantle of the Panther is not about entitlement. It is about sacrifice, about putting the greater good ahead of the purest glory, of the pursuit of glory. But you see it as a trophy to be won or lost. Jealousy has festered in your heart since your brother took up the mantle of the Panther. Of all the enemies you've faced, hubris is the one you have never defeated. You are not worthy to be the Black Panther. It is not your burden, it is not your destiny, and it never will be. Now leave this place and consider what you will do, knowing that you will never follow in your brother's footsteps. God, I love that scene. That is such a good interaction and such a break of expectation, clearly because of what's on the cover. The second you see it, okay, this is going to be how we get a female Black Panther. And she goes before the Panther God and is like, I've done everything for this. I'm ready for this. I should be a Black Panther. And I need you to make me a Black Panther. And he's like, you're not worthy of the title. And tells her to leave. And just she's had this one goal in life. That's his whole point. She's always coveted this one goal of being the Black Panther. And he told her, you're not worthy of it. So now go rethink your life to see what it was all about, since you can't have what you've always wanted. And she is just crushed. She doesn't say anything. All we get is just this one panel of her during that speech. And she just moved to tears. That is a brilliant, brilliant way to deconstruct and reverse expectations for a character. Intercut with that is a conversation T'Challa is having with his father, where his father is trying to convince him, T'Challa, you fought your battles. You've fought and fought and fought. But everyone must die. This is the time. And it's like, He goes, "No one wins every battle. No one can. You are not to blame for being human, T'Challa. It is time for you to give up the fight." And T'Challa says, "Give up? You are not my father." And, like, T'Chaka just turns back into death. And she's like, if a peaceful path is not enough to persuade you. And then so T'Challa's sitting there fighting demons the next time we come back to him. Skeletons or whatever. That's awesome. That is such a cool moment. He's like fighting with death to the bitter end. He doesn't want to die. He wants to go serve his people, be the Black Panther. And so he's not going quietly. Man, that is great. And then as he's sitting there fighting these skeletons, Storm shows up. And is given power in this realm. And so together, they begin to fight. Meanwhile, this threat that has been marching its way across the continent is right there in front of the gates of Wakanda, and their military is doing nothing for it. It's having no effect. He's just briskly walking past. No effect whatsoever on what's going on. Storm and T'Challa, however, fighting this version of death, are actually able to overcome and defeat it. But T'Challa finds out that Storm is paying a price to get him back. Her own life. And then they're sitting there fighting about neither of them wants to go. Neither of them wants to live without the other. And that is a really touching... Like, this issue, or this book in particular, has a lot of connotations about family that I find really interesting. The love of a mother for her son, the love of, or the jealousy of siblings between a brother and his sister, the love of a husband and wife, kind of transcending, being willing to fight death itself for it, and at the same time not being able to let one walk away for the other. Man, that's really good. Shuri wakes up, though, and doesn't understand why she's alive, because normally when the Panther God rejects someone from being a Black Panther, they are dead. So the family, not knowing what to do, goes to the witch doctor and is trying to confront him because he seems to be the only one with a solution. Shuri, you of all of us know that. You just stared the magic of the world in the face and was rejected by it. The Panther God found you lacking, yet you returned alive. Don't you find that interesting? Haven't you wondered, even for a moment, if the life given back to you has some meaning? Some purpose? Yes. The answers cannot be found in this world, nor are they entirely in the magical realm. And they're like, we don't have to, this is not helping. He's like, yes, it is, Mother. It is. I think I understand now. The Panther God spared me even after I failed. My pride was my defeat. I trusted too much in the scientific training I'd been given. I trusted too much in fighting skills and tactics, in my right to become Wakanda's weapon in her hour of need. Just as all of us trust too much in bombs and bullets and the advanced toys of war that only Wakanda can create. How like a daughter of modern Wakanda I've become. Zawahiri was right. And I know what we have to do. Zuri Wakabi, I need you to stand guard outside the chamber door while I make preparations. We're going to kill Morlun. So this guy starts storming the gates, and Shuri suits up to be a Black Panther. She has no right to this title. And she starts fighting this guy, this Zorlo or whatever his name is. trying her best to defeat him. You face the muscle of Wakanda, now face its claws. God, that's a good line. That's really cool. So the 6th issue is all about her leading this guy out of Wakanda to this shack that the rest of the family's been gathered at. And it's about Storm and T'Challa sitting there arguing about, if you're not going to go, I'm not going to go. This sacrifice is going to be in vain, because they don't want to leave each other even in the face of death. But in any case, Shuri is able to lead this threat, or bring this threat back to this witch doctor's hut. And I thought this was pretty clever. They're able to use the magic of the witch doctor to put this guy in the same realm that T'Challa and Storm are in. And in doing so, as soon as Death recognizes him, he is a much tastier piece of meat than either T'Challa or Storm combined. And so she says, "Go. I don't care now." So T'Challa, Storm are able to awaken from their respective comas, curses, whatever. And Shuri is now the acting Black Panther, while T'Challa is in recovery. And that's really, really cool. That's a multiple volume thing of Shuri being developed in the background for that. And it is a very satisfying conclusion to her character arc. And it does really make me want to read the next volume of Black Panther, even though Hudlin's not writing it. I don't know how much of the run goes beyond that next volume. I don't know if it only was able to get 12 issues in or whatever. I know Black Panther's one of those characters who has a book, doesn't have a book, has a book, doesn't have a book. Just kind of goes back and forth. I'm like, guys, you can just keep publishing a book but not have it come out every month. You can just have the book go on hiatus for a while. You don't have to renumber every time you come back. But man, this is just a really effective story, and it is in a lot of ways a very satisfying conclusion to Hudlin's run, and a good passing of the torch to the next writer. I didn't talk much about the art in this, but it is gorgeous. I love the looks we get at Shuri as the Black Panther, even though she's only one issue of it. But man, that is fantastic looking. It has that cool factor. That's the thing Hudlin really knows how to deliver, and artists, who's doing the art this issue? Scott Lashley, I want to say? Ken Lashley. That's Scott Eaton I was thinking of. The artists really are doing a great job delivering on these, really intense and visually striking situations. So they're really playing off of each other very well, and that's really neat. This has the option to look really busy at times, with so many things going on the page. T'Challa and Storm fighting an army of skeletons, but I feel the artist does a good job of making sure things don't get lost. The colorist helped a lot too here with the way things are just laid out and shaded. It just, it's a lot of black, but it all looks really good. Nice different shading. Paul Mounts did that. Paul Mounts and Paul Neary did the colors and inks respectively. So that's really impressive, and it just looks great, man. Oh, here's a neat little image of Shuri in front of at least parts of a African map. That's kind of neat. So I wondered, can we see Wakanda on the map? Cairo, Turkey. See Athens. That's weird. Western Sahara. No, can't see Wakanda on the map, but that's neat. What else? What else? What else? I love Zuri, the Panther God. He looks so freaking cool when we see him in this, and like he just you get, it's a fucking white panther, but you get this really great sense of regalness and divinity. You get the sense of why he is worshipped. Like, look at that cover. That is intimidating as fuck. He is a god to be feared and is frightening, but is just imbues power. Again, I really really love this page of Shuri meeting Zuri for the first time, like looking him in the face. And again, the sequence of him telling her why she is not worthy to be the Black Panther is really really cool. And I love just how incredibly intimidating he appears. Just it really works, and how he just, like, saunters away. He's not like it's weird. They visualize the gods earlier in the book, and he doesn't look anything like that. So I like the idea that people have different interpretations of him than what he is actually like. That's kind of neat. See if I can find that. Like, it's the witch doctor. Oh, there it was. The witch doctor talks about how the gods are not involved with the matters of mortals. And we get like a look at all these different gods, but the panther god there is one in black, but two just looks like slightly more human, anthropomorphic. And he's not bad. He's very animalistic, so that's really neat. Dig the hell out of this book, man. It's a really solid issue. Or read. So yeah, I'm gonna pick up the next volume. That'll be the last of the run, and then I'll read the Flags of Our Fathers one shot, whatever you want to call that. That's Black Panther, Captain America. So that'll be next time. After that, I've got a couple of one-off episodes to do for different trades I've got collected. There's Thor, Star Wars, very small Zorro book. But yeah, after I get all that done, there will be decide what my next long form series is going to be. Anyway, that'll do it. Everyone, thanks very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Trade Talk, and see you next time.
That's not a comic book. Now that's a comic book.